whose art you are looking at. She's back here. And Maida Velez with the Timucuan Parks Foundation. Well deserved, because her artwork is just beautiful. And I've been talking to Kathy about hosting this exhibit here for years, or getting her here, and it's one of those things where the timing was never right for her, wasn't right for us. We kind of danced around it for a while, and actually the benefit of COVID was that we had nothing on our schedule in terms of exhibits. So when they took this exhibit down from Fernandina, we put it right up here, and I'm so glad that we were able to make it work, because it's really an incredible exhibit. It's hard for you guys to see it now because if there's people in here, but please come back and really soak it all in, because it's really, really well done, and it's raised the bar for us, quite frankly, for our future exhibits. But the other nice thing about this exhibit is that we have 4 talks that starting tonight, and then for the next 3 months after that. So we've got a really, if you don't already have it, we've got a great postcard. Take this home, put it on your refrigerator, but I will also say we are starting to require advanced registration. So that's one COVID-related capacity rule, but we're kind of like, yeah, it makes sense. Let's have people pre-register instead of wondering how many people are going to show up. So we are going to encourage all of you to get into the habit of going ahead and registering so that we have you on the check-in list. If you're not a member, which you should be, you can pay online and make your donation online. So we really encourage you guys to look ahead and plan ahead on the events that you're going to attend. So housekeeping, we are doing this here instead of the chapel because we wanted you to see the exhibit for these 4 events. And then, so if you don't already know, the bathroom is down at the other end, basically this room on the other side of the building. It's a bathroom though, it's not like an exhibit room. Sorry. So we invite you to enjoy tonight's presentation. We're going to have Felicia Boyd. She's the Program and Outreach Director of the Timucuan Parks Foundation. And I want to say hi to everybody here on Zoom. Thank you guys for being here. And this is the first time I've ever seen Felicia in a dress. So she's looking real good, and she's here. I was like, look at her, wait for her. So she's here, ready to go. Felicia, take it away. Yeah.
I can use the microphone. That's okay.
It's better for the Zoomers, so it's up to you.
You are so much taller. Okay, we'll try this. I'll try not to shout. I am Felicia Boyd with the Timucuan Parks Foundation, and thank you so much for being here today. We are always excited to have a captive audience. I always feel like I'm going to get on like an airplane and here's the captive audience. So, have you heard about the parks in Jacksonville? But this is better because you actually want to be here. So I want to thank the museum for having us and setting up these talks for us. We also want to recognize our sponsors for this exhibition, the Marco Family Foundation, and then there's, as you leave, make sure you read about our sponsors because we're really excited. We also get partial funding from REI and National Environmental Education Foundation and viewers like you. So thank you very much for being here. So I'm not sure what everybody's, how long you've been in Jacksonville. How many are from Jacksonville? How many have been here more than 20 years? Yeah. How many people have only been here less than 5 years? So what we're going to find is that even if you lived here your whole life, you may or may not know what a wonderful resource we have here in Jacksonville. If you came from somewhere else and you're going, oh, I don't know if I like Jacksonville or not, let me tell you that it is a hidden gem, and we have these hidden gems that we'll talk about tonight. So we're going to talk about fresh air, fitness, friendship, and fun at the Timucuan Parks and Preserves. So, hear this out. Okay, so according to the CDC, 25% of people don't get the recommended physical activity they're supposed to, and 29% they engage in no leisure time activities that are active. And so we know that this leads to all kinds of health issues, especially during COVID, where you felt like you were stuck inside and stressed. And so fortunately, research has shown that parks and preserves and outdoor spaces provide these unique opportunities to get help, not only mentally, but physically. Just being outdoors, being in fresh air. They say you can walk down the street, that's okay, because you're outside, that's better than nothing. But being in a park, being in the woods, or being in our marshlands in these big spaces, is an incredible health benefit. Again, physically, because you're actually moving, but also mentally to help de-stress. So fortunately for us, this is a map of Jacksonville. Let's see where there's a little pointer, but if you've lived here a long time, or maybe when you came here, you heard that mantra, Jacksonville has the largest urban park system in the United States. And then you went, really? And I'll tell you that if you are not aware of this or where these particular parks are, you're not alone. We've taken city council people out on a driving tour, and we get to a park and they go, oh, I've never been here. We take them to a National Park Service site and they go, I've never been here. You're a city council person, you live here, you need to know about this resource. And so, we have this large park system up in that northeast corner. We have the Timucuan Ecological Historic Preserve, which is a national park site, national park preserve. And most of it is salt marsh. There's some private, it's kind of like Acadia National Park, it has some private lands and state lands, but there are properties such as Kingsley Plantation and Fort Caroline National Memorial, Cedar Point, Theodore Roosevelt area. We also have state parks, Little Talbot Island, Big Talbot Island, Murray State Forest, Jennings State Forest. And then we also have these city parks, we call them our wilderness parks. Our president, actually Kathy kind of coined that term of our wilderness parks. They're our preservation parks. They were purchased in the late 1990s, 2000s, where we had some city leaders that said, hey, we've got some of these environmentally sensitive properties, we've got some historically significant properties, we need to put them in preservation. And so they bought up properties all around the county. So things like Dutton Island and Castaway and Julington Durban and Sal Taylor and part of the rail trail and Camp Milton Historic Reserve and others that surround the county. So we had this ring of parks, which we used to say, oh, they're out, way out nowhere. Well, I don't know if you've been up on the north side lately, but there's development crowding these areas. And today we would never be able to get those properties. And now we have this, like I said, these preserves for us. So again, 130 square miles of parks and preserves and outdoors public lands. And another thing I want to mention is that all the pictures I'm going to show tonight are here in Jacksonville. So you look at it and go, wow, that's like somewhere I used to go when I lived in Europe or somewhere. These are all Jacksonville. So a lot of public lands, 1,100 miles of St. Johns River waterfront property, tributary waterfront property, property along the Atlantic shoreline, over 120 miles of upland trails. So a great resource, places that we can go hiking and walking. I like this picture because this particular park, this is Theodore Roosevelt. It's almost, it's almost not the middle of the city, it's Arlington. And it has a natural trail. Again, it's free, it's a National Park Service site. You can go anytime. You can be tall, you can be short, you can be fat, you can be thin, you can be old, you can be young, you can be white, you can be black, you can take your dog. That's Kathy's dog. Anybody can enjoy these parks. We have other parks that have more paved areas or boardwalks for those that are have mobility issues. Biking, if you're a biker, we have long trails, we have short trails, we have paved trails, we have off-road trails. This is one of our favorite paved trails. It's the Jacksonville Baldwin Rail Trail, runs from Madison Road all the way out to Baldwin. So you can do that 14.5 miles 14.5 miles back, if you're not quite on the ride by that long. We always tell people, start at Camp Milton, it's in the middle, visit Camp Milton, ride your bike to Baldwin, go to everybody's restaurant, get a catfish dinner, come around, hop on the bike, come back. It's a great day trip. It's a great trip for even visitors coming into town. There's another, and we'll talk about this a little bit. There's another paved trail up on the Talbot Islands that you can do Big Talbot, and then you can go on up into Fernandina for miles of trails. They're again paved, but off-road. I mean on-road. This would be off-road. A lot of people know about Hanna, world famous for their off-road biking. It's one of those things where you look at the map and you go, is this easy or hard? And she'll say, if it's named Dogwood or Lily, it's easy. If it's Grunt or Misery, it's hard. So, and so that can be a little intimidating. But I tell you, there are a lot of our other preservation parks that have these tiny little paths. Hop on your bike and ride on them. They're flat. They have some roots maybe, or some don't. I tell you, don't need a big a mountain bike. You can just use your little hybrid and fat tires and ride at your leisure. Kayaking, canoeing, getting on the water. We've got trails throughout the city. There's some that are out in the marsh and some that are kind of like the swamp, kind of in the trees. Here in Jacksonville. Of course, we have the beach. You go swimming, boogie boarding, surfing. Again, free. Unless you're gonna Hanna Park. Hanna Park's $5. So if you go to the beach there, you do it for $5. We love Hanna though, because it's you can do hiking, biking, boating, fishing, kayaking, you can do everything. Camping, if you want to camp, you can stay in a cabin. If you're a RVer, they have RV sites and RV sites in Little Talbot. If you're a tent camper, you can tent camp at Hanna, you can tent camp at Little Talbot. You can tent camp at Dutton Island. That's more of a primitive camping. So if you want to take your scout troop, you go, you have the whole island to yourself, and there you go. Wildlife viewing. If you want to know anything about birds or where to find the birds, you're going to talk to our executive director. It's Mark. He's hiding behind Deb there. I neglected to introduce Mark at the beginning. If you want to know anything about the history of the parks, some of the efforts we're doing to preserve develop some of the parks, developed as far as trails, or if you want to know anything about birds, talk to Mark. This is his picture. It's a favorite. Some other birds. If you go up to Huguenot right now, the birds are just starting to migrate there. So there's thousands of terns and gulls, and it's pretty exciting. And of course, no matter where you go, Maya and I were at American Beach the other day and saw 4 different horses while we were walking the streets. And dolphins anytime you're out on the St. Johns River. Fishing, lots of places to go fishing. I like this picture because, again, it shows kids. Most of the parks are free. The state parks are $5, and in Huguenot $5. Everything else is free. And so take the kids outside, get them away from the screens. It's a chance for them to run around, run, jump, play, go wild. Well, they're pretty focused here. Not only the physical, but the mental, meditation or yoga. Sometimes you just want to be by yourself. This is what they call Blackrock Beach. You can go to many sites where you won't see very many people. You can just sit, watch the clouds go by, breathe the air, de-stress. So lots of opportunities to get healthy. So the Timucuan Parks Foundation, we preserve, promote, and enhance Jacksonville's natural areas through community engagement, education, and enjoyment. So we're trying to reach out to make citizens and visitors aware that we have this park system. We support and collaborate with the Timucuan Trail State and National Park partners, that's the National Park Service, the state parks and city parks, and other community organizations, other environmental organizations, health organizations, To promote environmental stewardship, we want these preserves to stay in as natural state as possible. Health benefits of the parks, and we discovered that by focusing on the health benefits, we also are addressing some of the equity issues that we have in the city, and an appreciation for Jacksonville's special places. So we do a lot of things like help our park partners when they have events. They'll have Harvest Day at Kingsley Plantation, and they'll have Living History Days at Camp Milton. So we'll assist them with those types of projects. We also tools and native planting and trash cleanups. In the past, we've had like an all-call event. Anybody that wants to come and help us do this while I'm shopping. During COVID, we had to tear that down, so we have kind of a small TPF trail team if you're interested in going out once a week or once every couple of weeks. And it's not a regular thing. I was telling Katie, it's like, if you want to be on the list, I'll let you know when we're going out. And if you can come, that's great. If you can't, we'll see you next time. We also have a self-guided student cleanup program where students can go out and clean up for about an hour and a half in a park, send in some pictures, write a little reflection, and we'll give them a 2 hours of community service. That's been great for us because we get clean up of our parks, and it's great, again, it's an audience that we don't usually reach because they're inside, and this makes them go outside, and they'll see our park, and hopefully want to continue going with it. Oops. Again, we assist our park partners with youth education. Sometimes we'll do some of our own projects, mostly focusing on how valuable these parks are from a pollution prevention standpoint, or keeping our city resilient to storm surges and hurricanes and things like that. Also doing marine studies, animal, wildlife surveys, things that they can, citizen science projects that they can do some hands-on. So yeah, we realized that we were always kind of marketing, talking to the same people. So we said, okay, we need to bring in everybody. Parks are good for everyone. So how can we do that? How can we, we can talk about the health benefits of these parks. And so we started going to conferences, health conferences, which was totally out of our, so we were always going to environmental forums, and this is like talking about diabetes, and this group is talking about diabetes, and we can help, we can help. And so we partnered with UNF. They helped us put together this little passport to health, which is just a little booklet that has some parks and some of the park maps, and then it says, hike this trail and burn 350 calories. So it sort of couches the parks in terms of how you can get healthy. Well, we've also been looking at park RX programs where doctors actually prescribe going to the park as a way to get healthy. We've partnered with Humana and their Go 365 program where people who have Humana can go to the park and get their 10 points for the day. And then we're looking at park design, specifically Castaway Island, where we're not going to make major changes to the park, but looking at it from a nature therapy standpoint, where how can we cater to patients and their caregivers from Mayo? They're right down the street. They can come, they want to take a walk. How can we make it more accessible and more comfortable for them? So putting in more benches, putting in defibrillators, or putting little overhangs over the places where you sit so you're not right in the sun. Again, we've worked with JU and UNF, another segment of the population we're trying to get involved, to help us put together, do research on nature therapy. Look at the accessibility of some of our parks. How accessible is it to people with mobility issues or disabilities or mental issues? Most of our health program has been focusing on community outreach and programming. And so it's a great opportunity to reach out to audiences, again, that don't traditionally go to the park. So non-traditional audiences, more diverse audiences. older population, veterans, youth that come from areas, the underserved youth, either special needs children or urban core kids that they may not ever get out of the city. And so providing opportunities. So one of our programs is healthy living, fresh air, fitness, friendship, and fun, that we partnered with ARP, AARP, to do programming for active adults. And so, when before COVID, we would get together, we would do some light stretching, take a 1 or 2 mile walk, and then we would do some kind of programming like plein air painting or drumming or hike into history with a ranger program. Since COVID, we've been doing them virtually. We have one in a couple of weeks where we will be doing, we have, just went by. We're going in a couple of weeks. Oh, hike in history with American Beach. So we have Ranger Ted Johnson from the National Park Service. We'll be giving a walking tour of American Beach, and then Carol Alexander from the American Beach Museum will be talking about what they have in their museum collection. Every summer we do urban outreach with Groundwork Jacksonville Summer Youth Corps. So the teens come out, we take them kayaking. We do a program at Dutton Island where they do fishing and they cook outside, a nature program. They do service learning projects with us in the parks, which is great because not only are they doing, working in the parks, being outdoors, but they work with the park personnel, so they learn about different career opportunities. Youth with special needs, this has been a lot of fun. Again, we go kayaking, they'll come do service projects for us, or we'll just do nature walks. We're trying to expand our programming, something like kids in kayaks, where we would identify different groups of kids and we just bring out to go out in kayaks. So we're looking at grants and donations and things like that to help fund that program. Another underserved audience that we realized was that when we just rebranded one of our areas up on the north side, we'll talk about that in a minute. We realized that people wanted to go out and see these parks, but they didn't want to go by themselves. And for a lot of, one of the big groups that doesn't go by themselves are women. They're like, I'm not going out and just hike that trail all by myself. And so we partnered with Florida Trailblazers to do beginning hiking women only. And so we get a group of women together, we talk about gear and hiking and walking, what to expect, and then we go for like a 1 to 3 mile hike. And that's been a lot of fun. So, and we do these same types of walks with veterans. So we would love to have any of you for any of those programs to join us or join as a member, participate in our volunteer program, any of our outreach. Again, we would love to see you. So in the meantime, I'm going to take a quick little tour of the parks that we have. So here's our map again. Let's look first, we have these coastal barrier islands. And again, when you get a chance, take a look at Kathy's artwork, because we've got, she focuses on a lot of these different ecosystems and these different park areas. So let's look at some of the parks in our coastal barrier islands area. We're going to start out with Big Talbot Island State Park. I don't know, how many of you been to Big Talbot? Been to Boneyard Beach? So if you've not been, you need to go. And if you can go, now that everything's becoming so popular, if you go during the week, it's kind of better. But it's still kind of a hidden gem. You park at the second parking lot, you walk about 3/4 of a mile, and you come out to this beach that looks a little otherworldly. They call it Blackrock Beach because they have some peat layers that are exposed at the surface. And you can see, I mean, here you are at the beach, and I'm with my family, and there's nobody else there. Oh, At the north end of Big Talbot is a paved, you've got this paved bike trail between this boardwalk. So again, this is about a 3-mile trail, and you can go on up to Amelia Island and extend another 6 miles. But they got to from that. And at the very north end is what they call Spoonville Pond. So if you were a wildlife or a bird person, this is a great place to just view the birds that are there. Coming down to the south from Big Talbot Island, you've got Little Talbot Island and Huguenot, beautiful beaches. Both are $5, and so that kind of keeps some of the crowd out. But again, the exciting thing about Huguenot is the birds that are just starting to migrate and starting to nest there. And by the time late June comes, it's amazing. It's amazing. And if you're lucky, you'll go and one of those photographers is there with his spotting scope. And you look at the scope and it's like National Geographic. It's really fun. Fort George Island Cultural State Park. This is another great, somebody's coming to town. I need to take them on a trip. So you go across the ferry and you go on to Fort George Island. And the first thing is this incredible road. Again, you can bike this road, but just driving this road, it's historic, it's beautiful. You've got all these amazing oaks. You take the right fork and you eventually end up at the Rabeau Club, a club that was active in the 20s, and then it was a golf club, I think all the way through the 80s, but then it kind of fell into disrepair, and there were rats in it and everything. And so this is kind of one of the success stories of the precursor to Timucuan Parks Foundation, and all these park partners that got together and said, we're going to resurrect this place. And so now they have weddings here, they have a museum in there. In January, we'll have our Timucuan Science and History Symposium. So, which you're welcome to come to. So you take your guests and tour around there. If you want, there's a 3-mile hike on the whole golf course that they let grow back in again. So that's a nice flat walk. So easy to not get lost. So we didn't see very many flies that time. Continuing on down the road, you have Kingsley Plantation. And this is a national park site. Great drone footage of, you've got the Fort George River, you've got the planter's house, you've got the bar, the kitchen, the bar, the old Army Navy building, lodge is there. And as you come into the island, you have this unique complex of slave cabins. And so you can take a really good audio tour that focuses not only on the plantation life, but primarily on enslaved people. We have a plantation there, but very few people actually live in the planter's house. Most of the people were enslaved. And so they have a really good, a good walking tour of what it's like to be a slave and of these, this complex of cabins. And then you go back out to the ferry and eat a sandwich. So again, a really nice day tour. We stop by the historic Broward House and around. That's our office. Again, owned by the National Park Service. So if the gates open, stop by and get a little tour. So that was the coastal barrier islands. We have the Southside parks. Things like Fort Caroline National Memorial, again, a free national park site. Walk down the trail and you see the Timucuan hut, or the recreation of the Timucuan hut. Learn about the Native Americans that lived here. Again, we have this huge history here in Jacksonville. And then continue on to the fort itself, the Fort Memorial, where they think the fort might be. A settlement of the French Huguenots a year before St. Augustine. It just didn't last very long. Didn't last as long as St. Augustine. But again, a rich history. Across the street is the Theodore Roosevelt area. Open dawn to dusk. A great walk through the woods. Again, in the middle of Arlington, easy to get to, beautiful spot. You can start at either the end that's across the street from Fort Caroline, or you can start at the end that's at Mount Pleasant. One at Mount Pleasant actually has your restrooms. But you walk a mile and you come to this beautiful. You walk through the woods. You pass Willie Brown's cabin. Willie Brown was the man who lived there for 60 years, and then when he passed away, he donated his land, 600 acres, to the Nature Conservancy, who passed it on to the National Park Service. How valuable would that land be, today? But he gave it to us. So people work in the cities, but they should have somewhere that they can go to, say, in the woods. So you continue on and you come to an overlook that looks out over Round Marsh and over the marshes. Pretty scenic. Ready Point is up there off of University. You continue on University Boulevard until almost you can't go any further. Ready Point is mostly known for the very long pier that goes out into the fishing pier that goes out into the St. Johns River. But again, it was a neighborhood that was, they started building the roads. It was slated to be developed and it got put into preservation. So you have this beautiful preservation park. You walk in the woods right in the middle of Arlington and development. Hannah Park, lots of people have heard of Hannah. Again, we love Hannah because you can go hiking, biking, road fishing, bird watching, yoga, camping, everything. Everything in Hannah. Mostly known for its just great beaches, beautiful pictures of beaches at different times. Again, that mental de-stressing, even if you just go and sit and watch the clouds. Lots of hiking trails, biking trails that are separate from the hiking trails. See what we're going over? And if you just want to go sit and watch the alligators, you can do that too. Castaway Island Preserve, when I was putting the talk together, I thought, I can't remember how many acres Castaway Island is, about 300. But I found this, and I thought this was really a nice quote. Along the meandering estuarine Sandpiper River, Castaway Island is a breezy spot to get away from the city and enjoy a breath of fresh air on a nature trail. That pretty much describes most of the parks. At the north, if you're familiar with Castaway, one thing you want to check out is just as you go into the park, kind of hidden on the left is a Pollinator Garden. So you can kind of just something a little extra there. We've been working on that for years. We bring DePaul School of Northeast Florida kids that have dyslexic, autistic will come and help us plant and read. Right now, I think it's taking a little while because we're in the video. Dutton Island Preserve, another hidden gem right off of Mayport Road. We have Dutton Island 2, Dutton Island 1, Dutton Island 2 is just a 1.5 mile, not quite 1.5 mile hike. With some places to stop, rest, and get a marsh view. And then Dutton Island, if you keep going to the end of the road, you come to Dutton Island 1, there's a kayak launch. I noticed the other day there's a kayak camping area now. They've kind of designated camping areas. And another place to go kayaking. Down the very south end, we have Julington Durban Preserve. Back there, we took a group of UNF students. And you can see it's, you look like you're in the middle, you don't look like you're in the middle of Jacksonville. The west side, the Jacksonville Baldwin Rail Trail we talked about. It does have a separate equestrian trail if you're a horseback rider. In the middle is Camp Milton Historic Preserve. Again, all kinds of history in Jacksonville. This is a kind of minor skirmish here, and so once a year City of Jacksonville will have living history days where we get all dressed up, we have reenactments, and so then little minor skirmish. Bulls Bay Preserve is kind of a newly opened park. They've had it for a while, but they just kind of finished up the trails. And that one's kind of nice. The trails are short, but you can get to a waterfall within like less than a half mile. It's pretty unusual. And then Sal Taylor is also on the west side, which some people complain about the planted pines, but I think it's kind of exciting. You got a little tiny person in there. Our most recent rebranding, and again, another success story for this, for these park partners, is the Seven Creeks Recreation Area. So we have this cluster of parks. The airport is right there, so it's kind of to the east of the airport, out Cedar Point Road. Again, a cluster of preserved land that we would never be able to get today. And so last year, they finished kind of, they decided they wanted to make this one seamless experience. They call it Seven Creeks Recreation. There's city parks, state park, Bogey Creek Preserves, and North Florida Land Trust Park, Cedar Point Preserves, a city park, and then the National Park Service has Cedar Point. So you can start at the north end and go take the Seven Creeks Trail, get all the way to the boat ramp here at Cedar Point. It's a 7 mile. Or you do any part of that, any one of those. So, do you see anybody famous? That's it. So at the north end, you have fishing. They have a new fishing pier and a kayak launch up at the north end of Dead's Tiger Point. Plus, there are some really neat, again, planted pines, but these nice piney paths that you can walk or hike or ride your bike. You can also go kayaking up in that area. There's a couple of kayak launches, so you can launch at the north end and then paddle down to between Betts and Pumpkin Hill, have a picnic lunch and paddle back up. Pumpkin Hill is, they do more prescribed burns there, so you have a lot of areas where you have these kind of big open fields that you get your wildflowers there. And then going down the Cedar Point Preserve, which is one of my favorites, again, just a walk in the woods with honey paths. So you follow the Seven Creeks Trail, and it connects to the National Park Service's Cedar Point with this little bridge. And so you can stand on that bridge, look 360 and not see anything, except for the picnic table over there. But again, you're in the city and you're in a place where you're looking 360 degrees and you're not seeing any development. Continuing to see the National Park Service at Cedar Point, go exploring, and you'll come around on this path, and man, there's some ruins, the Fitzpatrick ruins. So that's always kind of fun if you're hiking around all of a sudden you find some ruins out in the middle of the woods. And then you can continue on to the boat ramp at the end of Cedar Point. So we would encourage you to explore the parks. Sign up for our e-newsletter so you know when things are going on. Join us as a member. Help us bring other people out to the parks. Help us introduce these parks to people that don't usually know about them. Use them for your own benefit for physical and mental rehabilitation. Visit our website, timucuanparks.org. And anything I forgot, Ida? Okay. Any questions?
What's this preserve right down here behind Angie's?
You're talking about Cradle Creek.
Or is that, so is it a preserve or?
So it is a preserve. It's managed by the city of Jacksonville Beach, but it was purchased as part of the preservation project.
Okay.
And that's, that's just a little, it doesn't have restrooms. You just park and go for your 1 mile walk and you have some views of the marsh. Again, there are these little properties that they kind of place just for like I say, environmentally sensitive purposes. But for us, it's just a great little resource.
Someone told me that, I haven't experienced it yet, but it's so close.
It's right there. Thank you.
Tell them about tide view. That's so underused. And a lot of people don't know about
So Tide View is, so Dutton Island is just off Mayport Road. And then just south of that, right, adjacent kind of to the Atlantic Boulevard Bridge is another little park called Tide View. I think they have a dog park there now. I'm not sure if it is. But again, it's similar to Dutton in that you have trails that take you out on the water. There are boardwalk trails that take you out to the marsh. You can take your kayak there and take your kayak through the marsh and end up at Dutton Island, go around Dutton Island and come back.
your kayak trails and canoe trails.
Right. So, again, and then there's even the parts that we don't necessarily aren't on our, they're kind of on the map, but don't necessarily have a direct support. But Tilly Fowler is another one on the west side that, just like all of our other parks, it's got boardwalks, it's got you walk in the woods, you can ride your bike. That's another beautiful park. Again, on the west side. So no matter where you are, presumably you're within 20 minutes of any park.
What's your favorite?
My favorite right now is I really like Cedar Preserve. I like walking that trail, coming to the bridge, going to the ruins, eating lunch, just I just think that's really pretty.
Do you feel like people appreciated and utilized our parks more in past year, with social distancing and everything like that?
Definitely. Because it's like one of the safe places you could visit. There's also the issue of being loved to death. And so it has brought people to parks that don't know necessarily the even trace principles or some of those. So there's some work to do there. Some parks don't suffer from lack of awareness. Things like Huguenot is just crazy right now. It's hard to get on the weekends. But so we don't necessarily, we're not necessarily trying to get more people in the parks. We just want people to be aware of how valuable they are. And then again, creating access for those who just can't hop in the car necessarily and go or won't.
Any other questions? Thank you, Felicia. What? Thank you guys all for coming tonight. We're excited. So we'll be talking next month, so make sure to go on and pre-register. And they have an information table out here. We've got a couple of books that are associated with this exhibit that we're selling at the museum store. So please, feel free to linger a little while, and if you linger too long, we'll make you put chairs away. So that's the deal. But thank you guys all so much for coming, and make sure to get out and support our amazing park system in Northeast. Inspired some good plans. So thank you guys all. Have a great evening. Questions in the Zoom.
I need to tell her
The chat.